Here's the thing nobody wanted to say out loud. Something about Tana Mongeau's silence just doesn't add up. And no, this isn't about petty gossip, clickbait headlines, or the usual chaos people expect from her. This is about something buried deeper, hidden between offhand remarks, uncomfortable reactions, and the kind of details most people would rather not notice. Brooke Schofield didn't scream it. She didn't make a dramatic announcement. Instead, she dropped it in the middle of an ordinary conversation, almost too casually. But that's what made it powerful. Because the moment those words slipped out, Tana's entire demeanor shifted. She laughed it off, but her body language betrayed something else. Panic. For years, Tana has thrived on exposing her own mess, turning scandals into headlines and mistakes into money. She built her entire persona around saying the things nobody else dared to say. But when Brooke's comment landed, she didn't double down. She didn't twist it into content. She froze. As if, for once, the story wasn't hers to control. And that's where the questions begin. What was Brooke really exposing? Why did Tana seem more terrified than angry? And why does the idea of erasing the past suddenly matter so much to someone who has never cared about shame? It all started when their partnership began to crumble. Out in the open, it looked like a simple decision. Two friends, too much backlash, too much pressure, finally manipulation into suspicion. In one of their final recorded conversations, Tana casually asked, "What if I just deleted everything?" The words seemed harmless at first. Tana has always thrown out dramatic lines for effect, but Brooke's reaction wasn't staged. She went silent. The laughter stopped. For a split second, the mood shifted from playful banter to genuine discomfort. Because this wasn't just about deleting videos. This was about erasing evidence, burying memories, and wiping away years of shared history. Brooke's silence wasn't confusion. It was recognition. She knew exactly what Tana was implying. And here's the unsettling part. Who even thinks about destroying an entire archive unless there's something inside too damning to let the world keep watching? That single comment cracked the surface. And what spilled out was far messier than anyone expected. Fans didn't just hear a casual suggestion. They heard fear. They saw Brooke's stunned expression, the way she leaned back as if trying to process whether Tana was serious. It wasn't entertainment anymore. It was something raw, unguarded. From that moment, speculation spread like wildfire. Maybe there was something in those recordings, something Brooke remembered, but Tana wanted the world to forget. Something that wasn't just embarrassing, but damaging. Whispers began to circulate in fan spaces, theories built on tiny clues. Brooke's tone suggested she had been blindsided, but also that she wasn't shocked for the first time. Almost as if she had seen this coming, almost as if she knew Tana had a reason to want the past buried. And then came the bigger question. What kind of secret could be so heavy that Tana Mongeau, the woman who made a career out of oversharing, was suddenly desperate to cover her tracks? Because when you think about it, this is the same person who has confessed to chaos most celebrities would spend millions to hide. Yet this time, she didn't lean into the scandal. She wanted it gone, erased, forgotten. Brooke didn't have to say it outright. The silence, the tension, the way fans picked up on the energy in that moment. It all hinted that she had exposed something Tana hoped would never resurface. And that's why the humiliation hit harder than any headline. It wasn't about drama for views. It was about truth leaking out, one sentence at a time. What came next made everything even darker. The casual remark about deleting episodes wasn't just about memories or embarrassment. It slid straight into a conversation about money. Who owned what? Who deserved what? And whether years of collaboration could be reduced to a messy math equation. Tana reminded everyone that the channel technically belonged to her long before the podcast even existed. Millions of subscribers, years of uploads, her foundation. On paper, she was right, but the way she said it, casually, almost dismissively, made Brooke look like a guest in her own success. Then came the joking comparisons. "We're like the McBrooms dividing assets." Tana laughed, referencing a family infamous for their scandals. But Brooke didn't laugh. The mention of cheating, betrayal, financial splits, it wasn't just a joke. It was a mirror held up to the tension between them. Because Brooke never signed a contract. She walked into this partnership on trust, friendship, and the belief that loyalty was enough. And now, with Tana talking about erasing everything, that lack of paperwork suddenly looked like a trap. Fans immediately picked up on it. Brooke had no protection, no legal ground. If Tana wanted to wipe away the podcast, the money, and the legacy, they couldn't stop her. But here's the unsettling part. What if the real reason behind all this wasn't the money at all? What if the finances were just the surface excuse for something deeper, something that couldn't afford to stay on record? Because whenever someone starts talking about contracts, lawyers, and erasing history, it's usually not just about business. It's about hiding. This is where everything shifts. Brooke never shouted it outright, but her reaction spoke louder than words. There was something inside those recordings that Tana couldn't face. Not now. Not ever. It wasn't just embarrassing stories or reckless jokes. According to whispers online, there was one clip that haunted Tana every time it resurfaced. A conversation replayed on tour, night after night, where she revealed more than she intended. The look on her face when she saw it wasn't annoyance. It was dread. Brooke's subtle comments only fueled the fire. The way she asked, "Why would you delete it all? Do you hate me that much?" sounded less like a question and more like a warning. Almost as if she was saying, "I know why you want this gone, and I won't let you pretend it never happened." And that's when the phrase, "dark secret," started to stick. Because what could possibly make someone like Tana, who has survived scandal after scandal, finally draw the line and panic? What could be so heavy, so humiliating, that she'd rather erase her own history than let it play again? For years, Tana's strategy was to expose herself before anyone else could. It was her armor. But this time, Brooke flipped the script. She was the one holding the cards, and Tana was the one on defense. The balance of power shifted in that instant. Brooke didn't have to reveal the secret fully. She just had to remind Tana, and everyone watching, that it existed. And the internet understood immediately. Humiliation doesn't come from being caught doing something reckless. For someone like Tana, humiliation comes when the one thing you swore would stay hidden finally finds its way to the surface. When clips of their exchange spread online, the reaction was immediate. Viewers weren't amused, they were furious. Fans accused Tana of dismissing Brooke's role, of trying to erase the very project that had revived her career. Comments piled up, cold, heartless, inconsiderate. And then came the warning. "Brooke, get a lawyer!" For the first time, Brooke was painted as the victim. Loyal, unprotected, blindsided. Tana, meanwhile, looked less like the queen of chaos and more like the villain of her own story. And the question that lingered was simple. If this was only about money, why did it feel so much darker? When the backlash grew louder, Tana tried to explain herself. She said it wasn't about erasing Brooke. It was about the weight of her digital footprint, about regretting things she had said and wishing she could undo them. But the contradictions showed quickly. She promised she'd never take money from Brooke, yet reminded everyone it was still her channel. She insisted she valued the partnership, yet joked about deleting the very work they had built together. For fans, it didn't sound like regret. It sounded like panic, and panic doesn't come from embarrassment. It comes from fear of what might be exposed. Tana spoke about rebranding, about moving on to something new. But to many, it didn't feel like reinvention. It felt like running. Deleting episodes wasn't just a fresh start. It was an attempt to bury the past. And in trying to erase it, she only made it more suspicious. Because reinvention is about growth. Erasure is about fear. And Brooke's silence made sure that fear stayed on display. In the end, Brooke didn't have to spell out the secret.